Hello there, my name is Luciano Oliveira. I am a Brazilian attorney, also licensed in California and Texas. And today we're going to be talking about the paternity denial action in Brazil. This lawsuit is also known as lawsuit to disavow paternity in Brazil, action for disestablishment of paternity in Brazil, and paternity challenge lawsuit in Brazil. Let's now talk about the purpose of this lawsuit. The purpose, as the name says, it is to rectify a situation in which a man is considered legally to be the father of a child, but for some reason, this person gets noticed that he is not the actual father. Could be because someone else is presenting as the actual father. It could be because of a late DNA testing, meaning a DNA testing done after this person has assumed to be the father from a legal perspective, or because of other evidence such as the behavior of the child's mother. The legal purpose, therefore, it is for this person to legally remove himself from the position of a father, and as a consequence to eliminate obligations such as child support, to have this person's name on the child's birth certificate, and other social consequences of the relationship between a father and a child. Now let's talk about the requirements. Naturally, for a judge to accept a paternity denial action in Brazil, a plaintiff must have enough evidence to compel a judge to investigate further if this man is the father of the child or not. Again, the strongest evidence one can provide is a DNA test, but even if you don't have the DNA test results, because maybe the child's mother is not making herself available, you can have other indirect evidence, such as testimonials from a third party, mother's behavior, someone else telling you that they are the actual father, and so on. Remember that the right place to file such an action is going to be the state and the city in which the mother and the child lives. So if you are a foreign citizen, you cannot file such claim from the United States. You gotta file the claim in the city in which the mother and the child lives. Another important aspect is for you to consider the timeline of filing such claim, because there is a limit for how long you can wait before filing such lawsuit. Because in Brazil, we have this concept of emotional fathership, meaning that even if you are not the biological father, because you developed a relationship with the child, eventually you end up being considered as a father, even again if you're not the biological father. I know this is a kind of bizarre concept for people from countries such as the United States and many countries in Europe, but this is something very typical of Brazil. Brazil is going to have as a high priority the emotional, the social bond between people, even if this is going to be at your loss as someone who was deceived maybe by the child's mother. So again, the sooner you file for such claim of paternity denial, the higher the chances you're going to be able to win such a claim if you are indeed not the father. Another question we answer very often here in our consultations is, what if the mother doesn't accept to attend a DNA testing? Well, then it's going to be on you to provide as much evidence as possible to the judge that you're not the actual father, and petition to the judge to force the mother to take a DNA test. Now, if you provide enough evidence and the judge orders the child's mother to take a DNA test and she still refuses, so one thing that the judge can do in this case is like to actually assume that you are not the father because the child's mother is refusing to take the DNA test. The reasoning here is, if the man is actually the child's father, why would the child's mother refuse to have the DNA testing done? Remember, the testing is going to be done with the child, but the court cannot, go to the mother and take the child by force. The mother, which most of the time has the custody of the child, would have to agree to the testing, would need to make the child available. And again, if the mother doesn't make the child available, the judge could very well assume that the father is not the actual father, and then kind of compel the mother to make the child available for the testing. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the foreign citizen's perspective of such cases. One thing that we see very often here at the firm is like when a foreign citizen visits Brazil, has a short-term relationship with a Brazilian woman, she gets back to the United States, for instance, and eventually he is told that he's the father of a child in Brazil. And he's far away, maybe, he gets upset with this whole situation, and he accepts the information at face value and starts to pay some level of child support to avoid more aggravation and maybe a lawsuit that could reach him in the United States. So in our experience, yes, sometimes he's going to be the father, but in many instances, he is not actually the father. And the only way he has to know if he's the father or not, the secure way, is to have a DNA test. So if someone is telling you that you're the father, make sure, first thing is to ask for documental evidence, to ask, for instance, for a pregnancy test as soon as you are told that there is a pregnancy on track. After the child is born, push really hard for the DNA testing. And if the child's mother is not accommodating your requests, again, you have this action to compel the mother and the child to attend a DNA testing and clear up any doubts that you have about the relationship. Now, if you are the father, yes, you're going to need to pay child support. There is going to be a somewhat need for communication between you and the child's mother. But if you are not the father, you can leave this whole situation behind. And therefore, the importance of you filing such action as soon as possible, of course, in the event that the child's mother does not volunteer to participate in a DNA testing without the need for such procedure. I hope this video was helpful. Feel free to schedule a consultation if you have a similar situation that you're going through, and follow us for more tips.